Hey there, and welcome. If you're gearing up for the Artificial Intelligence Governance Professional Certification, you are in exactly the right place. Today we're doing a focused, rapid-fire session on Domain I, which is all about the foundations of AI governance.
So, what's the plan? It's pretty simple, really. We're going to test your knowledge, hammer home some of the most important concepts from Domain I, and hopefully build up your confidence for the big day. Ready? Let's dive in. First things first. We're going to start with the absolute basics, the core definitions that pretty much everything else in this field is built on. So get ready. Here's your first question.
Okay, first up, what are the common core elements you'll find in basically any accepted definition of AI? Take a second to think. The answer is technology, autonomy, human involvement, and output. Now, the key thing to remember here is that even though there's no single perfect definition of AI, these four elements pop up consistently. And for us as governance pros, each one is a control point. How do we manage the tech? How do we oversee its autonomy? How do we make sure human involvement is fair? And how do we validate the final output? All right, next question. Which dimensions does the OECD framework use to classify AI systems? Okay, this one's a five-parter. People and planet, economic context, data and input, the AI model itself, and finally, tasks and output. This framework is so important because it forces you to take a 360-degree view. It makes organizations look beyond just the cool tech and really consider the full context, its impact on society, its place in the economy, and all the data it's eating up.
Let's lock in what might be the most important definition for this whole exam. How do we formally define AI governance? The answer is, it's an organization's approach using laws, policies, and processes to set up guardrails. And that word guardrails is everything. See, governance isn't about stopping innovation or slowing things down. It's about building a safe road for innovation to travel on, one that manages risks and ultimately builds the trust you need for AI to really succeed.
Okay, great job. With those foundational definitions under our belt, let's move on. Now we're going to talk about the different kinds of AI systems and machine learning models you absolutely have to know. First question in this section, what exactly defines unsupervised machine learning? The answer is, it's all about training a model on unlabeled data to find hidden patterns. And that word unlabeled is the key distinction. In supervised learning, you're spoon-feeding the model, telling it, this is a cat, this is a dog. But with unsupervised learning, you just dump a massive amount of data on it and say, go figure it out. It's incredibly powerful for finding things you didn't even know to look for, like grouping customers into brand new market segments. All right, here's a question about picking the right tool for the job. Which model type is best for analyzing a really straightforward relationship between two variables? The answer is linear and statistical modeling, and this is a perfect example of a core governance principle, explainability. Look, if you just want to know how a price change impacts sales, you don't need some massive complex neural network. A simple linear model gives you a clear answer that isn't a black box, which makes it so much easier to explain, defend, and trust.
Okay, let's go a bit deeper now. What are some common examples of deep learning neural networks? The big three you need to have in your back pocket are computer vision, speech recognition, and natural language processing, or NLP. And really, just think about the tech you use every single day. The facial recognition that unlocks your phone, asking Alexa or Siri a question, or dealing with a customer service chatbot, that's all deep learning in action.
This slide gives you the perfect mental model for this. See how it's layered? AI is the big, broad umbrella concept at the top. Machine learning is a major way we achieve AI, and then deep learning is a super specialized, really powerful form of machine learning. Just picturing these nested circles is a great way to remember how they all relate to each other.
You're doing great. Now, let's shift gears a little. We're moving from the models themselves to the actual technology and infrastructure that makes it all run.
Let's talk tool sets. What is the main function of an AI platform? The answer is, it provides the software infrastructure for the entire AI application lifecycle. So think of platforms like AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud. They're not the final product, they're the workshop. They give you all the tools you need. The data storage, the development environments, the monitoring, to actually build, deploy, and maintain your AI systems from start to finish. Okay, let's drill down even further. What are the four main parts of the AI technology infrastructure stack? They are compute, storage, network, and software. These are the four absolute pillars of any AI system.
You need the compute for the raw processing power. You need the storage for those huge data sets. You need the network to move everything around, and you need the software to make it all work together. Simple as that.
Now, this next one's a little more technical, but it's super important. What are the main challenges when it comes to hyperparameter tuning? The big issues are managing variability and the fact that it's just really hard to scale. So what are hyperparameters? Think of them as the master control knobs on your AI model that you have to set before you even start training. The problem is, finding the perfect combination of settings is often a painful, manual, trial and error process. And as your models get more and more complex, that process becomes an absolute nightmare.
All right, we're in the home stretch. For our final section, we're bringing everything back to the core of governance. Let's really focus on how to identify and understand the critical risks that come with AI.
First question on risk. What type of bias happens when your training data is lopsided, favoring one group over another? That's called sampling bias. And the reason this matters is simple. If your training data doesn't look like the real world, your AI won't work in the real world. The classic example is a facial recognition system that's trained mostly on pictures of one demographic group and then fails miserably when it tries to identify anyone else. That's not just a tech problem, that's a massive governance failure.
Let's talk privacy. What are the big privacy red flags when you're training AI systems? Well, the top concerns are the risk of re-identifying people from so-called anonymous data, a serious lack of transparency in how the data is used, and, of course, using personal data without getting proper consent. AI is just so hungry for data, and that creates huge privacy risks. A powerful model might be able to piece together de-identified data to figure out who someone is. And we're seeing huge court cases now about models being trained on personal data that was just scraped from the web.
Last question. In the world of AI, what does reputational harm to a company actually look like? The answer is loss of customer trust, a hit to the brand's image, and even a drop in the company's stock price. And this is so critical. When an AI system messes up, whether it's biased, or it gets hacked, or it's just wrong, the damage isn't just the technical glitch. It's a real, measurable blow to the company's reputation and its bottom line. And that is how you get your leadership to buy into a strong governance program. Excellent work. We've covered a ton of ground from Domain I. Let's just take a second to quickly wrap up the main themes we've hit on today. So as you can see, Domain I is really all about the fundamentals. We started with those core definitions. Then we moved on to frameworks you can use to classify AI systems. From there, we covered the technical stuff, the models and the infrastructure. And we brought it all home by talking about the foundational risks and harms that good governance is designed to prevent. So, as you keep studying, just remember this. You have to master these foundations, because at the end of the day, effective AI governance isn't just about ticking boxes or managing risk. It's about building the trust that is absolutely essential for this technology to ever reach its incredible potential. Good luck with your preparation.